There you go.
There you go, Mayor. You see the screen action of it?
So every time somebody moves, it moves?
Yeah, you'll see when somebody comes up to the speaker,
Mhm.
wherever the sound is, it'll jump to it. See, picking up my snap.
Yeah.
And just the papers that he's rustling.
Cool.
It's kind of like a confirmation. Remember when they asked if your phone was speaking? Not at all. Oh, yeah. Yeah, not at all. It's listening and it's got good ears. You're able to make noise without it finding you right away? Yeah. Yeah, set that expectation right there. Yeah. Wow. We should experiment with setting all the tables back further.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And then we can get even more space between the owls and us and them. Yeah. We'll keep it the next later this week or something. Yeah. You still there, Commissioner Piggers?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. We'll start here in a couple minutes.
2 minutes. I should write everybody's name down that speaks.
I'm gonna attempt to.
Okay. Here comes my daughter.
Okay, airplane mode is now on.
That's my baby.
The one that lives here.
Yeah. That's my baby, and she's older than you. And Tim's a deputy sheriff for Minnehaha County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right now he just took a job. He was at the jail for years.
He's the one.
Now he's at the courthouse. He's the head of security at the courthouse. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any additions or corrections to the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
The motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
I'll call roll.
Commissioners Garbers,
Aye.
Piggers. Piggers,
Commissioner Piggers, we're voting on the consent agenda.
Okay, I can't hear anything until you just spoke.
You're up on,
So I, if it's me.
yeah.
Carlson. Aye. York.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Okay, this section of the agenda is for visitors to be heard. It's for the opportunity for the public to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the commission shall use the microphone up here at the podium and state your full name and address, and your remarks are limited to 5 minutes. We are designating an hour for this, if it takes that long indeed. And if you have the same opinion as someone that has already spoken, please don't expound on your reasons. Just say, I agree with so-and-so. And, if you have anything to add that wasn't there before, otherwise we may not get done with all of this in an hour. Also, this is an opportunity for the citizens to speak and state their opinion on any matter that they want without the commission questioning or fighting back with them. So this is what we're going to do. Any visitors to be heard? Claire?
My name is Claire Kathman. I have been a lifelong resident of Canton for all of 18 years. And although I'm only 18, I believe my voice should have value. Having a school resource officer at school has made me feel safe. Last year, when some Sioux Falls wannabe gang members threatened to come to school, it was our SRO who looked out for us. It was our SRO who reminded us of parking etiquette and the importance of following. He reminds us daily of the importance of following basic parking etiquette. It's our SRO who builds relationships with us and teaches us to respect authority. Some of these simple everyday tasks help make us feel safe while at school. Just because some of my classmates don't live within city limits, shouldn't they feel safe when they come to school? I will be graduating from CHS in the spring. I will be done needing an SRO officer. I'm not looking out for my best interests, but rather the best interests of everyone who walks through these doors of Canton schools, because the safety of the others should be everyone's top priority. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Claire. Anyone else want to speak?
Chris? Thanks, sir. Sir, thank you. Thanks for what you do too, Tiffany. Thank you for what you do. I don't know you.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Bob.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
Thank you.
You want to time these?
Thank you, Jackie, for what you do. She can't hear us.
I think she can hear us.
She has it up.
It's tough.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh.
There you go.
All right, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Bob Hilt. And I think a lot of the reason why people are here is because there's been a little bit of discussion on Facebook about what happened at the last meeting in regards to the police department. Those of you that don't know me, I served on the Canton PD for 17 years, full-time. I was part-time for a couple of years before that. I did 27 years in law enforcement total. So, I believe I probably got more years in law enforcement than anybody else here. Am I wrong? No. Okay. what I'm gonna say probably is gonna upset a few people, and I don't care. Cause I didn't make a living making friends with everybody. I made a few friends over the years, but, having a school resource officer is a good thing. Having 4 or 5 cops in Canton is a good thing. I think where these people up here in front of me are at is probably something to do with the survey that came out that hopefully most of us filled out. I don't know. I filled it out and I signed it. How many of y'all filled it out and signed it? So there's a few that filled it out and signed it. So the rest of you fill it out and not sign it? So I think, excuse me? I can't hear you.
What survey?
Yeah, I never got one.
Did the surveys come out in the water bills? How'd they come out?
Individually to addresses.
Individually to addresses. Okay, well, I don't know how that was determined, what addresses got them and which ones didn't, but
People that pay water bills, right?
one of the questions that was in that survey was, do we want to pay more taxes? What are some things that we can do to save money, or what are some of the things that we could be willing to pay more money for? So I think these people that we elected to make decisions for us were responding to the survey. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right, whatever. I can be wrong. I've been wrong a lot of times in my life. You know, Chad ran for council. I ran for council. My son ran for mayor. Anybody else here ran for council and didn't get elected? Just Chad. So I think if you don't like what's going on up here, then maybe you ought to run for council. I personally kind of glad I didn't get elected. Gives me a lot more free time. I got my Monday nights free. I can go fishing, or I can go do what I want to do. I don't have the ability that these people have, and I don't have the whiners that second guessing or Monday morning quarterbacking everything I do. Hate me or like me for what I say, I don't care. I think right now my taxes are high enough in this town. If we gotta do something to lower our taxes or at least keep them the same, I think we need to at least give these people the respect they deserve, because we put them in these seats. Each and every one of them. So I think we should maybe give them a round of applause for at least serving and trying to do the right thing instead of second guessing everything they do. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else? Now's your chance.
So I'm John Lems, 410 North Wicker. And I know Sandy already knows what I'm gonna say. Now, I do appreciate you people up here, every one of you. You work hard and you do a lot of stuff. But the police department, I appreciate the police department. We need a police department. But I think our budget is about double of a lot of towns around us. One thing I don't like about, I was visiting at the hospital one time, and the nurse come in and asked, we just talking, where are you from? I'm from Canton. She goes, gee, I live straight east of Canton, about 5 miles. I said, oh, between Canton and Inwood? Yep. I said, well, you drive through Canton every day. She said, no. I did. I went through 3 times because my husband said, if you drive through Canton, you're going to get stopped. So she said, I don't believe that. Sure shit. 3rd time she drove through town, she got stopped for a flickering taillight. So she drives, and her husband drive 3 miles east of Inwood, north of the Klondike Road, and then cut across the Klondike Road to go to Sioux Falls. I know that's not the only nurse story I've got of somebody getting stopped in Canton early in the morning for something similar to that. My son had this summer we had a wedding rehearsal for my boy out at the golf course. 2 people leaving that got stopped for not coming to a complete stop at the stop sign. Okay, the tires didn't come to a complete stop. But one of the gentlemen who got a warning ticket for not stopping at a stop sign has a newer vehicle, and when you stop these newer vehicles, the engine shuts off, but it will not shut off unless the vehicle has to be stopped with the brake on. So you got a ticket anyway. Now, I've been to weddings and rehearsals and stuff and all these other wedding venues up by Harrisburg and that. I don't see a line of police cars lined up to, not that they're lined up out here, but I know 2 people got stopped that night for not coming to a complete stop. If I would hate to be a business owner, a retail business owner in Canton, because people that get stopped for something like that don't come back. They don't come back to Canton. There's a lot of people that live in Northwest Iowa, go up to the Klondike Road and the co-op in Klondike once. And I've seen as many as 6 cars at each stop sign. That's a lot of people that aren't driving through Canton. And I ain't saying it's all the police, maybe the road construction stopped it, but when you give tickets like that, I don't agree with it. And I think our budget we can be just as safe as towns around us that are spending half on the police protection. And I think we'd be all right. So thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Anyone else?
My name's Stan Gustafson. Unlike that gentleman, I've only been in law enforcement for 17 years. And I'll tell you, in that 17 years, it's not the same as it was. If you want to look 20 miles down the road, they just had an officer involved shooting of an individual. That's 20 miles south of us. 20 miles north of us, there's a shooting every other day. I know, that's where I work. That's what I do. It's not what it was. And I don't understand how a budgeted position being removed, how that changes our budget so great. Taking away something that's already in the budget, it's planned for. And now we're removing it for one officer, for folks with biased opinions on stuff, for folks that don't like someone because something didn't turn out the way that they wanted to. And I don't know about you, but folks from Iowa, they go 50 in town, they go 50 out of town. It's straight shot through, let's go. Well, you know what? You're breaking the law, you should get pulled over. I'm sorry. If you don't like it, drive the speed limit. It's pretty simple. And I'll tell you, our officers as first responders, often they're the first ones to the scene. Now you take one more of them guys out of there, that might be another 15, 20 minutes for somebody to get there for the person that you love. And that officer may have been able to save them. And it saddens me to see that, and then not hiring back a part-time officer who's already equipped, he's already got the equipment, and you're gonna have our officers that are already here working extra hours, getting paid $50 an hour rather than paying a part-timer half of that to work the same hours. It doesn't make sense. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And I love this town, and I want to feel safe in this town. And every officer we take, every one of our volunteer firefighters we take, the firefighters can't go in. EMS can't go in until an officer is there. So if you got a situation that's just terrible and there might be a shooter, there might be something bad going on, nobody knows, EMS has got to sit and wait. They can't go in. Let's have officers that are close, and plenty of them. I guess that's about all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, here we go.
Bruce Hankey, Canton, South Dakota, 1783rd. Questions about the survey that we had said that they were sent out to addresses. How many addresses did they send that to?
We're not allowed to go back and forth with you.
Pardon?
We're not allowed to go back and forth with you. during
Okay,
public comment.
well, so my guess is that from the last time that we heard of it was that the sample size of those people who were against it was pretty small. So my guess is you had a majority of a minority. My guess is if you had a larger sample size, you would find that, I don't know whether it would be the majority would want to keep it, but I guessing that it would be pretty obvious that the sample size with that, it would be much greater, or those of us would want the police. How many businesses are there in Canton? But we've had, we've had, as the rate of crime in the area has gone up, if I was a business, it would not have a police to be able to respond quickly. It would be a frightening thing. One of the things that was pointed out in a letter was that the number of police that are oftentimes coming to first responders. I can testify to that. One morning, walking to work at 6 o'clock in the morning in February, I slept on a small patch of ice, broke my leg. The first responder there was a police officer that was there to make sure I was all right while the ambulance came to come and pick me up. It is someone that was involved with the school. The presence of a police officer at the school is just a very, very important thing. Again, it's a frightening thing if we don't have that. If we don't have police, the response time from a county sheriff coming from outside could be, 5, 10, 20 minutes. Just one of the notes, someone was talking about police officers stopping people for not stopping for stop signs. I think that's a great thing. I live on 3rd Street, and we have a nice front porch, and we are frequently sitting on the porch. We have a stop sign right on Grant. The good news is it has a little dip for water flow on it. People come through that and they scrape all the time because they don't stop for the stop sign. They usually don't do it again. That street is pretty heavily used in the summer. Not only are they going, to 2nd Street down to the pool, we have a lot of kids going back and forth. Someday a kid's going to get clipped. Again, the speed limit that is through town, if it's posted at 25, they're sometimes going 35 on it. I think it's a good thing if people stop them for not stopping at a stop sign, because it means that it might prevent an accident or prevent maybe someone from being killed. I guess I just think it's short-sighted in wanting to dismantle the police department. It's also the fact that you wouldn't, as someone said, wouldn't fill a budgeted position, which means it's putting the burden on someone else. So what happens when somebody takes a vacation? What happens when the officer that you've got that's going to be off for training? You're going to leave somebody, and oftentimes it sounds like there's one person on, there's not overlap. What happens if there's a major incident when you've got one person on? What happens if that officer goes down? You know, there are people that drive through town, get stopped, and you hear about it all the time. Officer being, it's happened in our town before where officers have been involved in something. If we want the town to grow, why it hasn't, I don't know, but I know if I was someone, then you eliminate the police department. In good conscience, I could not recommend someone coming to Canton. Why would they want to do that? We're not even willing to protect our citizens. I just think it's something you need to be reevaluate of that. And again, going back to the survey, I think if you had a more accurate survey, there's a lot more of us that have the police department. And I worked at Keystone too, and that's a valuable resource that we had there to do it. Unfortunately, I got to know the policemen far more than I wanted to, but they were great. And sometimes the good news was they could de-escalate a situation, even sometimes better than those of us who worked there, only because they were like, in a sense, an independent person. They also worked with, when we had someone with suicidal ideation, there were ways that they would be able to evaluate. Oh,
Your time is up.
time is
so-
up. All right.
Right. wind it
Anyway,
up.
thank you for your time, and
Thank you.
please do not eliminate the police department.
Thanks, Bruce. Next, Gene?
Nobody can run me over. Okay. My name's Gene Oakland. I live at 304 East Third. I have a question about our leash law. I had a shout match with a guy last week. He's got a 25-50 foot retractable tether. It ain't a leash, it's a tether. We don't have a length on our leash, on our dog leashes. I think we should, 6 foot. Well, anyway, but Bruce Henke, he talking about the dip, people scrub it. That's my entertainment Saturday in the summer, sitting outside watching that and watch the fire and the sparks fly. But anyway, coming to speed, we just had our first snowfall. Okay, our plow drivers were all giddy and happy because we can get out and plow snow. Hopefully we can get them slowed down. I help my neighbors out blowing snow on their sidewalks. They help me out. After I had it all cleaned up and the Dakota Street was all clean, widened, they come by and buried the sidewalk. It's still laying there right now. I'm not touching it. So, and we get the plows to slow down. I've plowed snow for 30 winters on the highway department, and very seldom was I over 25 miles an hour with the plow down. They come down Dakota Street, I'll guarantee he's doing the speed limit or better. So I hope we can address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
That would be the county, correct?
Pardon?
That would be the county, correct?
On what?
Dakota.
Dakota Street, is that the county?
No, even through town, it's us. The county left their plows blades up when they drive up and down Dakota Street.
all right.
So it's us.
Okay.
Rob.
Next,
Vicki Hoekstra, 320 West Lynn. I grew up in Canton, left, been gone, lived in Sioux Falls. And the reason I moved back to Canton was the crime in Sioux Falls. And I wanted my daughter to grow up in a smaller town where the police were here. We knew they were protected. There was a lot less crime. And as far as an SRO at the school, that is the best thing that we can have. The students have learned so much from them. And isn't that what we want our students to be with the police and be friends with the police? I will be honest, I know what we did in high school. and we were outside and we were drinking and doing everything. And there's not a lot of that with these kids, and they're learning respect, and I think it's great. And we need these police officers in town because there is more crime coming. The locker, you know, a lot of people don't hear about these businesses being broken into, and it is happening here. And there are more dangerous situations for these police officers. I feel sorry for the loved ones of these police officers, what they put through and what they have to deal with on a daily basis. I think it's great they're pulling over people for speeding, stop sign, everything. But we need an SRO. And to me, if we get red, the state is reimbursing part of that money, the $45,000, if I'm not correct, from school. It's only the rest coming out of the city, and that was in a budget, which I agree. When we moved here to Canton, I thought it was going to be so much cheaper to live here, and it's not. It's about 3 or 4 times higher. I still would not go back to Sioux Falls, but I don't want it in crime. Sioux Falls, Harrisburg, everything's getting closer and closer. And last week when I heard that you guys weren't even going to give the PRN as far as getting keeping an officer on for as needed position, well, if they have to cover, are we not going to be paying overtime and more money going out? And to me, right after that meeting, that's when the Beersford shooting, and that officer didn't have backup. And that was the night, I think the night or two afterwards. And if that didn't make you think twice already. And we all need to come together. And I know we all need to figure out ways to decrease, but I don't think starting with the police is the way to start. I think there's other positions, places in town that need to be. You know, we have a lot of new equipment sitting there that I don't think hardly ever gets used. It seems like we're doing a lot of call outs. And I guess, why are we keeping the equipment in town if we're not going to use it? And the safety at the school is number one to me. And if we don't have that SRO there and he has to leave to back up all these other calls and something happens, I only have one child. And not one child, even my daughter or anybody else, can be replaced. And we've already had a kid already come to school, not this year, come up with a gun in the parking lot and all that, which a lot of residents maybe not know about and they may not share. But I feel comfort in that. And this is what we need to come together as a community and quit fighting. But we need to find better ways. And I don't think starting with the police is the way to start, because I do think they do keep some of the drugs and crime down in Canton. And if you think of all the accidents, and the other point I have is, if you have a loved one in town, which I have, and my mom's had stroke after, sometimes the ambulance can't get there right away, and it's the police. The police know CPR, and it could be your loved one's life or death situation. And the fire department, everybody, we rely on the police for a lot of things. And I hope you guys change your mind. And I do want to say that I did talk to a lot of people. A lot of people had no idea about the survey. Everybody kept saying, what survey? What survey? When did we get it? How did it come? So that's my question too, is how many surveys went out? How many came back?
300 and some came back.
Pardon me?
300 and some are returned.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, good evening. My name is Rosalinda. I live at 620 East First Street. And I actually have had some personal experiences with the Canton PD because I am a foster care parent. One day I had a 10-year-old Down syndrome child who, while we were all getting ready for daycare and work, decided to just walk out of my house. I have a very large house and it's very easy not to hear things. And when I went looking for him to get him ready, I couldn't find him anywhere. And I called 911 right away. And lo and behold, the Canton PD had found him walking down the street, shirtless, no shoes. And it was a very cold day. but they kept him safe in their vehicle and waited to hear from somebody and figure out where this child needed to go. Another occasion, I had a very rebellious teenager who called the cops on me, even though I hadn't done anything. And while they were there, she was so angry, she threw something out a window and broke it. And so they hauled her off into their car. So there's a lot of other foster families in our community. There's a lot of families that just have problems with their kids, or there's other issues. There's a lot of vaping and things that I hear about all the time. I have a child at the high school. I have 3 kids at Lawrence Elementary. There's a lot of things that go on, and I talk to teachers, I talk to workers, from like latchkey workers, etc., and they all greatly appreciate the SRO, Travis, and they communicate how incredibly valuable his presence is. And when we strain the rest of the department to make him have to cover other officers, then he's not available to be at the school. So I think it's incredibly, I was really, really shocked when I watched the meeting from 2 weeks ago. I just did not expect it to go that way. I think a lot of people were really shocked by that. And I thought it was important to come because Ms. Carlson in particular mentioned that she was listening to the squeaky wheels who responded to the survey. And I responded to that survey. And I do have some complaints. I do have some frustrations. But at the end of the day, just because we're a small town does not mean that we're immune to crime. We do have Keystone in our town, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I think they're very important and they're needed, and they should have that safety net or comfort of knowing that they have a police department that's just a few blocks away instead of having to call the county officers, and who knows how long it's going to take for them to respond. So again, I was just really shocked by the lack of support, the lack of just, come on, emergencies happen. People get sick. They need PTO. They have extended absences, whatever. And when we couldn't even accept the proposal to have a part-time officer that would be on the roster just as a backup, just if they're needed, I thought it was crazy that did not get passed. And in addition to just sort of de facto defunding the police, I thought was really surprising. So again, I just wanted to share that I just wanted to lend my support for the department and just ask for reconsideration of that past vote. And as far as all the stopping goes in town, which I thought was kind of funny, it's not necessarily just the Canton PD. I'm going to throw my friend under the bus who's a state trooper, and he pulls over a lot of people too, and they should, because if you're breaking the rules, then you should get pulled over. So I think that argument is just neither here nor there, and our police department is valuable and we need to support them. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I make a correction?
Oh, yeah, shortly.
It'll be a short. There was some mistaken information put out. Vicki, there were 2 officers on Beersford that night. One officer was on the west side, one officer was on the east side. I listened to the radio traffic. The officer on the east side figured about 2 minutes he was over to back up the officer that actually was involved in that shooting. There were 2 officers. Correct.
Well, yes, and I spoke wrong, and that's, I guess, I'm nervous and I was up there, but the reason I say that, this is why we need the police.
Next.
What's my question is why we need more.
Hi, my name is Brody Obery, and I live at 402 West 9th Street. I guess my reason for coming up is because, when we have our PTO up, it's at the school, or not PTO, sorry, a little nervous here. When we have our officer up at the school, it feels a lot more safe, and when you see him in the halls, he's communicating with everyone, and it creates a lot better vibe in the school. But, when he's got to respond to a call or something because there's not enough officers and they need another one, you don't really see him, or if you need him because something's going on, it just doesn't feels comfortable and is safe, and protected. And so I think we, shouldn't cut down the PD. And also, I've been pulled over a handful of times for little things, speeding here and there, not stopping at a stop sign. But, every time I have been, I appreciate it, because that little mistake could, cause someone, like let's say there was a kid riding their bike and didn't stop all the way, could have hit a kid, but the officer was there, and, you learn a mistake, or you learn a lesson from your mistakes. And with more officers, I think, we'll be able to kind of keep a little better control on just those small things that could have a bigger impact. And, the cops have helped me a ton throughout my life and with living in Canton. And, it may not always be the same officer, helping me, but, more officers kind of help you feel more supported, I guess, too, and like helped out. And so, I think we took down the number of police officers, it kind of negatively impact the community and kind of the community's morale too, and people at the school. So thank you for your time. And
Thanks, Brody. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Gracie Turvis. I'm 16, which means I'm in my junior year right now. I still have 2 years left, but I mean, if you think about it, our school looks like an easy target to people who want to come to a school and cause harm to kids. I mean, if we have no cops, what do we have to wait, 20 minutes for anyone to come? I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. I would not feel safe. I would be comfortable transferring if I have to. I mean, it's ridiculous. I haven't known Travis that long, but the short time that I have known him, he's awesome, and I'd like him to stay. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
A little bit of cold, so I apologize. My name is Vernon Gabers, and I live here in Canton, 725 East 2nd Street. I've been here about 7 years or so, and the entire time, police department's been here in town. Came up today to just give support for the Canton Police Department as well as the SRO position. In my experience, I've had actual interactions with the SRO as well as the Canton Police Department. And I could say, as far as that goes, that while there may be some that probably need some more training, I think that their heart is definitely in the right place as far as doing the position. As far as the SRO goes, I've had direct involvement. My son, he was assaulted there at the high school. And being able to talk to the principal as well as the SRO, Travis, and just being able to see that he did care, that he was there to protect not just my son, but others. What I had brought up at that time was what is to keep something like this from happening again. Officer presence is a huge thing to deter. As a member of law enforcement myself, I've seen when it comes to an officer being on duty in a squad car, you're going to have a lot of deterrence as far as whether they're on the streets, whether they're at the school. So as far as the SRO here, I know that if we ever had a school shooting or something like that, and it came down to this was the meeting or the next one that we decided we're no longer going to have an SRO in that position, or we're no longer going to have the Canton Police Department, this would be a conversation that we wish we would have changed our minds on. When it comes to the police officers here in Canton, a lot of us don't know what they do. A lot of us might see, they're on the side of the road, they're doing this, they're doing that. One thing I didn't realize until I got into law enforcement is that when it comes to the things that you don't see, a lot of times that officer, he might be on the side of the road, he's not stopping cars. That's because he's doing reports. That's because he's taking phone calls, he's doing a crash report, he's doing whatever he needs to so that he can go ahead and clear his board for the next case. As far as Travis, I've personally been there when he is off duty and he's taking phone calls for something that just happened. When he's taking phone calls for a child who maybe something happened to them at school, and now there's a report that he's got to be able to take up the chain, or whether it be as far as he's answering questions for another officer. The SRO position, a lot of times people will say, well, this is just a retired cop on duty. And that's not the reality of it, especially for Travis. He's anything but that. His work ethic, his care, all goes into why he is in that position, and he's called to be there. So for us to remove him from that is to do a disservice as far as not only for him and his family, but also for the rest of the students at the high school, also at the elementary. I know he's taking calls. I've heard on the radio him getting calls. He's going to the elementary school for things that you would never even think that an officer would have to take a call for. So keeping that in mind, understanding there's a lot that's unseen. It's easy to be like, you know what, this money can go to something else. But you don't need a police officer until you need a police officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, my husband's very social and I'm the opposite, so ignore my nervousness. But I am Maddie Valdez. I'm Travis's wife. I would like to just say thank you guys and thank you for everyone for supporting him. But I just wanted to point out the difference that one officer actually makes on the department. They've been one short now for literally 4 days, and my brother makes it to national finals, and we now can't make it, or somebody has to cover, or someone has to work overtime because my husband can't just get 2 days off because there's nobody there to cover. We moved to Canton looking for a safe and community where we want to grow our kids. But if I don't have a husband that's able to be home because he can't get time off, we can't stay. That my husband loves his job, but if we can't be a family first because he doesn't have somebody there to back him, whether it's just to get a day off, or if I find out that my husband was in a shooting and nobody else was there working also, I mentally can't do that in support of my husband, and we are a unit. So just the recognition that decision you make is not only affecting the community, but it's also affecting your police officers and the amount of time they get off, the amount of time that they're able to spend with their families. We have 4 holidays coming up, and my husband doesn't have one off because there is no officer to fill into his place. So just, that is it. I'm sorry that my voice is shaking.
Thank you.
Hello. So I'm gonna kind of repeat.
Could you state your name?
My name's Angela. And 811 East 3rd Street in Canton. I know one thing that somebody had brought up was that other cities around us pay less than we do. I believe that Harrisburg pays $1.4 million for 2 officers that patrol 17 hours a day versus us for 24/7 coverage. We pay $922,000 a year for 6 officers. So I'd rather pay the less for 24/7. I agree as far as the vacation or overtime, because if you're one less officer, then you are going to pay more overtime. Agree, budgeted position. I have a special needs child, and if I need somebody to get there right away, I want an officer in town. We moved from Sioux Falls. It's because you have a police officer, like you have Canton PD. Safety was a big concern. He's got a lot of special needs. I wanted somebody that could get there quick. His part of his medical stuff is that it happens quickly. There's also a hospital here, which was one of the reasons. So yes, I think that we do need safe communities. I think that we need to support our officers. Yeah, there might have been 2 on, but there's times like last night, there wasn't 2 on. And when they're arresting somebody, like they had to the other night, and then drive them to Sioux Falls, there's nobody on when they're driving that person to Sioux Falls, or they're picking people up from Keystone and driving them to the Walmart on Minnesota. Nobody's patrolling the area. What happens if I have an emergency with my child and there's nobody on to come and help me? So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm here to support the officers. I want the officers to go home to their loved ones safe every night. I think that we as a community need to support them.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question.
We aren't answering questions.
Well, Jen Sarah couldn't be here tonight because she was sick, but I have something that she wrote. I don't know if I am able to read
You
it.
can do that, yeah.
Jen Sarah. This is just a show of my support for our law enforcement in this wonderful community. I often reflect on the seemingly little things that occur in our daily lives here, and seeing the Canton Police Department vehicle driving through my neighborhood as my son leaves for school, and as I put my daycare kiddos and grandchild on the transit bus really does make me feel blessed. It matters to me. The young teen drivers, the adult drivers know our law enforcement is always around, doing their part to make sure everyone is arriving safely. It keeps us all in check, grown-ups included, at that busy, rushed, hectic part of the day. And then knowing we have a full-time SRO, their daily means the world to me as a parent and grandparent. That's just one of the many examples of moments I feel thankful to have these officers in our community. I know not everyone in town watches the commission meetings regularly, so you may not be familiar with what normally transpires and what transpired in that meeting. This should clear up a misconception or poor planning by the chief. This is typically a routine vote to advertise for an upcoming vacancy due to someone resigning. This is a very typical thing that happens in these meetings. They discuss an upcoming resignation form, any department vote to accept the resignation, and a separate vote, typically vote to approve the advertising for the vacated position. That didn't happen that night. A motion made to advertise for the upcoming, there was no second made, so vote could not even take place. So the SRO position was going to be in jeopardy anyway through no fault of the commission. That isn't really the full picture. This is a routine vote to advertise for an upcoming opening on the police department, like we always do. The police department is not over budget, and advertising for this upcoming opening isn't threatening the currently approved budget. We are basically eliminating a position on the police force by not voting to approve filing a position being vacated, which potentially can decrease our SRO's availability to the school. I can understand the commission asking questions about scheduling, staffing, etc. I can understand them looking over those things to see if there are areas we can change, things that we can tweak for future budgeting. But at the end of the day, failing to vote to advertise on an upcoming vacancy does eliminate a police officer position. And that will impact scheduling. And I'm not even going to get into the failure to vote on having this officer that is leaving be left on a part-timer. If he is needed to cover in the event of an illness or vacation, he literally wouldn't cost the city a penny unless he covered a shift. He would have cut back an officer's receiving overtime. Not voting to prove that was just pure ridiculous in my mind. Also, I feel it needs to be pointed out that having the sheriff's office in town does not actually give us a bunch of available officers. If you have watched any of the commission meetings in the past and have suggested this, then you also know that the Lincoln County deputies are stretched thin and are not able to help provide any extra coverage in Canton if we reduce our police coverage. The Lincoln County Sheriff has made clear some of you may not realize how often our police officers are the first to arrive on scene during medical events in our community. Those extra seconds, minutes, etc. can have a huge difference in saving people's lives. As a dare care provider, it is a community mother, a daughter to aging parents, etc. I highly value that. I strongly encourage people to educate themselves and all the calls of these officers are responding to. Our population may have not grown over the years, but mental illness sure has, drug use sure has, violent crime sure has. Read their report. They make it very easy for us to look it up. If spending is the biggest concern, all departments within the city need to be looked at for ways to reduce spending. Not many question those salaries, additions to staff, or overall numbers of staffs. I literally do not ever question any of the staffing decisions, nor do I care. I'm just wondering now, the end all be all answer isn't just to cut law enforcement. They aren't asking for additional staffing on the police department. This vote was just to keep things where they have been. And if that was a problem, then why was the budget approved anyway? We've seen this fight for years, so it isn't new to see that our law enforcement budget is the topic again. I find it amusing that we want to listen to a few surveys regarding the police department's budget being a concern, but we don't really want to listen to those surveys. If they express the disapproval, the city money going into the community center or other city improvement, if it's just that something many of us want. And I just wanted to add, there's 168 hours in a week. 5 officers can provide 200 hours of coverage.
Your time is up, Vicki. Thank you.
No.
Anyone else? We have 10 minutes left of this. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. My name is Chad Skiles. There's been a lot of questions that were brought up tonight about the survey and numbers associated with the survey. To answer those questions, currently the population of Canton is just under 3,000 people. There were 1,182 surveys sent out. That means 39% of our population was actually engaged by a survey. Of that, only 365 of those surveys were returned. That means 31% returnage of the total number of surveys that were sent out. That breaks down to 12% of the citizens of Canton that took the time to complete the survey. It was stated by someone on the commission that about 3/4 of the surveys that came back had specifically addressed the police department issues. Break that down even further, that's 9% of the population. That's 122 citizens who took the time to say, express their concerns about the Canton Police Department. 122 out of a population of 3,000. That's 4%. The decision was made 2 weeks ago based on 4% of the population. There's a lot more things that I could say tonight, but I'm going to end it with, I think most of it has been heard already. So I'm going to end it tonight by just saying this. Commission, please reconsider your vote from 2 weeks ago and keep the police department at its numbers where it has been, and keep our citizens and our kids safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for one more if somebody else wants to speak. If not, we'll move forward. Nope. Thanks for all of you for coming tonight and showing your support or stating your opinions. It's appreciated. So thank you a lot. You all deserve a hand for that, especially you young kids. Thank you. So. So we're going to move on with our meeting, and we're going to move into old business, and it is the in-town residency pay increase. It's recommended to grant a one-time step increase for employees that live within city limits immediately. This was tabled at our November 3rd meeting, and we're going to revisit that now. So, anybody want to entertain a motion or talk about this? Is Jackie still on?
So I had asked several questions to be answered before I could make a decision on this. Andrew did get those questions back to me. And I guess it, based on what I can tell, we don't really know what other communities do this, but it might be something that is worthwhile to do for the longevity of an employee. It said it was also brought to my attention that we will be coming in $400,000 to $500,000 higher in our sales tax revenue this year than what we budgeted for. I would propose that we use some of that money to give back to the community. It said we've had a lot of people make complaints about how much they pay on their water bill, about how high taxes are. And if we're even going to entertain a motion to pass this, I think the people in this community need to have something as well. So I'll make a motion to pass this as long as we would give the people in the community 1 free month off of their water bill in 2026.
Can we do that? Okay. I mean, it's two separate things. Can it tie into with another one?
Commissioner Piggers, the mayor's asking whether or not we should be separating the two issues in terms of separate motions. It begs the open meeting question that there wasn't a notice on the particular idea of paying off water bills for a month. It probably should be two separate issues with the water bill concept coming at a subsequent commission meeting where we can properly notice the public that we're considering such a concept.
Okay, I guess I'm not sure that I would pass the increase unless that was something we were guaranteeing to the public. I mean, we're already have people sitting in the audience tonight because we couldn't hire another officer, and part of that has to do with budget. So we're now going to think about spending more money from our budget to. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I make an alternate motion to table it.
So the motion to table this issue?
We have to run hers.
She didn't get a second, so the alternate can.
So what's the motion?
Commissioner Piggers, there's a motion to table this item.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to call roll?
How long are we tabling this?
Well, we've already
Tabled it
we've
once.
discussed with Commissioner Piggers the idea of the staff did the idea of paying water bills, so we've begun to crunch the numbers. So I think we'd be prepared by the very next commission meeting to have both items up for discussion.
Is that what you want, sir?
What?
I was asking Sarah if that's the motion she made.
No, she made a motion to table it.
Yeah, I would say my motion to table is until it's been discussed more and we decide to bring it back, not just at the next meeting. It'd be once that we've figured things out.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to call roll?
Commissioners Piggers.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. York.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Okay, now I'll move on to new business. It's the 2026 fee schedule. Each year we go through the fee schedule and adopt new prices or leaving it the same or lowering it. So we have been looking at this week. The proposed changes received by November 26th were in red, and the fee schedule can be made at any time throughout the year. Any changes can be made throughout the year. But a motion is required to adopt the 2026 fee schedule, and it's effective January 1st of 2026. And it rescinds all prior rates and authorizes me to sign this. So is there any discussion on this? Do you have going through this? Is there any motions?
I'll just make a note that anybody who's looking for the fines, that is in ordinance. So this is all for fees that are being charged by the city. So there's no fines, criminal fines in this schedule this year, because that's appropriate because they're listed in ordinance. I would motion to approve the 2026 fee schedule.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, you can call roll.
Commissioners Carlson. Aye. York.
Aye.
Garvers.
Aye.
Piggers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the 2026 HSA contribution. To even out the cost for the HSA and the PPO plan, the city has been contributing to employees' HSA accounts. Currently, we are contributing $25.36 per pay period, and based on the numbers, it is being recommended to increase the contribution for 2026 to $36.85. And a motion is required to set the HSA contribution for employees. Any discussion? Any questions?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Sarah. We have a motion. Do we have a second? You have a second? You want to call roll? Oh, we have a second, Jackie.
That's where you can cut funds.
What? You want to come forward?
No.
Okay. You want to call roll?
Commissioners York.
Aye.
Garbers.
We got somebody coming.
I guess I just kind of don't understand, how do we have the money to, well, first of all, I would love a free month of water. I have 3 tiny humans, they take a lot of water. Anyway, I would love that. But how do we have the money for that, but we don't have the money for the police? And how do we have the money to be spending on the HSA and all of that stuff, which is important to spend, but not give them the tools that they need to be successful? These are people too. They should be able to take time off. They should be able to have a life outside of work. I know every single one of you would want that too. And I think it's insane that we even have to have this conversation, honestly.
Thank you.
Commissioners York.
Aye.
Garbers.
No.
Piggers.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is the 2026 election date. The state's deadline to establish an election date for cities is January 14th, 2026. Should an election be needed for the commissioner race, it is recommended that it be held November 3rd of 2026. Petitions can be picked up starting on July 3rd of 2026, and they must be returned by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. So this is open for discussion.
I was just gonna add
Yeah.
some of the background to it.
Yeah.
The legislature in their infinite wisdom decided that cities and schools should not have their own elections anymore, and has forced us to consolidate with either primary or general elections. So those are the two options, either June primary or November general election. The November general election has a better turnout and a more balanced turnout between parties, and that's why we recommended going with the November election. That there's, if the goal was better turnout and more balanced turnout, November's a better fit for us.
Is there any issues with us, I guess, going to November based on the fact that we were elected for a 5-year term? I mean, that would add 7 additional months onto what we're serving.
Just for you current commissioners, it would, after the next person's elected in November, then the terms will be resetting back to their normal length. So you're the lucky bunch that will all serve a few extra months.
Ordinance and statute does allow for someone to continue in their role until they're replaced. So it's not like we're overstaying our welcome. We're required to overstay our welcome.
Legislation.
Hopefully it gets more than 24% to show up to the ballot. Hopefully it gets more than 2 people to put their name on the ballot.
Amen.
There we go. So
Motion.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Nicole, roll.
Commissioners Garbers,
Aye.
Pickers,
Aye.
Carlson, York,
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the police vest surplus to Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. It's being recommended to surplus Ryan Bates ballistic vest to Lincoln County Sheriff's Office since the vest cannot be used by another officer. The vest was purchased in 2022 for $935. The current value based on depreciation over 60 months is $349.29. And a motion is needed to approve the surplus to Ryan Bates's ballistic vest equipment to Lincoln County.
Just wanted to clarify that the depreciation over 60 months wasn't just an accounting metric. A ballistic vest does have a lifespan, and that is 60 months is the lifespan of a ballistic vest before any department's supposed to replace it. So that's how and why they use that calculation.
Okay. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Jackie
Second.
and a second by Sarah. If there's no other discussion, you want to call roll?
Commissioners Pickers,
Aye.
Carlson, York,
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is a raffle request from the Canton Wrestling Club. They are selling tickets for $10 for one or $50 for 6 and will be sold from December 1st until February 7th of 2026. There will be 5 prizes, with the top prize being an all-inclusive 5-day resort stay in Mexico for 2 people valued at $2,000. The drawing is to be held February 7th of 2026 after the youth tournament. And a motion and second is required to approve this. It's a fundraiser for them, so it's a good deal.
Motion.
Do a motion to, and a second. You want to call roll?
Commissioners Carlson, York,
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
Pickers,
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. And the last thing on the agenda is the amendment for the airport project. What?
I was just pointing at Bruce if he can elaborate. Do you know anything about this airport?
I don't.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's amendment for airport project 346-007-17-2024. Nancy Hiller with the South Dakota Department of Transportation has submitted an amendment for the airport project with the above number, that the final payment has been approved by the FAA. The FAA awarded a federal amendment, and therefore the state requested the extra 5% portion as well. A motion is needed to approve the amendment and authorize my signature. So does this mean I have to pay more?
I don't know.
Oh,
Motion to approve.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, you want to call roll?
Commissioners York,
Aye.
Garbers,
Aye.
Pickers,
Aye.
Carlson, Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. And that concludes the agenda items. And it says, I'm going to do the commissioner dialogue now, if that's all right with you? Okay, now we'll hold commissioner dialogue because we will be going into executive session after this. So, Chris, do you have anything?
Oh, yeah. I better have something. I'm going to start with the surveys. So I read every single one of them surveys that we sent out. We sent out, according to Chad, 1,100 and how many?
1182. I got all my numbers from City Hall.
1182. And there are 1,182 homes in town. I thought 1,200, so pretty good. We received back 300. That is 25% of the houses. 25% of the households. Am I inaccurate? Am I accurate? I'm not going by individual people because in my house, we filled out one.
Right, we sent out one per household.
Okay, so I didn't give one to my kids. So therefore, it's 25% of the people that responded to this survey. I won an election 3 years ago with 27% of the people registered to vote. So I'm over here looking at the people that came up to talk, which I commend them because I know what it's like to come before this horrible group up here. You can feel it. So I totally commend anyone that walks up to that podium, okay? And there are 12 folks that were in favor of the SRO, who I didn't mean to go this direction, but I did. And I don't want to go down this path, but if I'm supposed to listen to 12 people, or am I supposed to listen to 25%? So when people say I have an agenda, I don't have an agenda. I'm literally listening to the people's surveys. And I spent a week reading these surveys. And even some people said in there, I don't even know why I'm filling this out because you probably won't read it. Sir, I read it. Okay? Your sloppy handwriting, I read it. And over, I made some notes so I would bring these things up because I want the citizens of Canton to know that I read these surveys. They want our app and our website used better. So now that we have Andrew and we have Alicia, we have got to work on our app and our website, whether that's snow removal, the water situation. We got to communicate on places other than the world of Facebook. And I've said that since the moment I walked up here. But now that we have a $7,500 website and $7,500 app, whichever one it is, I want to use it. I'm sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name about the leash laws. I should know your name. Oakland?
Correct.
Gene. It's hilarious because I didn't know he was coming to the mic, but somebody wrote leash laws. My kids won't walk the streets of Canton because dogs will come after you. And dogs are a big problem in Canton. It's our 4th highest call in Canton. In 2022 it was, and now in 2025 it is. Year to date, our 4th highest call is dogs. So leash law, for sure. 6 foot, I agree. Whatever it is, get your dog on a leash. Property cleanup. So we've been addressing, and Sarah took it upon herself to get us a side company, a third party, so it wouldn't be put on the police department. So now we're having a code enforcement company that I agree with. We're trying to clean this town up. And I think that is where a lot of our issues arise when it comes to the crime in our community. So if we clean the town up, it'll be a much safer place to live, right? Gym space. Folks talked about gym space, and I completely agree. Having 2 children come through the school system, you never can practice anytime but 9:30 at night because that's when it's finally open. So yes, completely agree, gym space. The river at Chautauqua Park, and no, it wasn't the logs that they were talking about. It was how do we better use Chautauqua Park to attract people. So I think we need to address as a council and maybe put a task force together to try to clean that area up and not stick a ton of money into it because it's a bottleneck for the flood. Just put some logs down there, you'll find out. Citywide cleanup. Citywide cleanup was probably talked about the most. Folks are upset with nothing being picked up at their sidewalk, at their curb. Folks are upset that nothing can be taken to the rubble site. Other folks say, I don't need the citywide cleanup because I clean up after myself and I take care of myself. So it was It was almost a 50-50 of folks saying, I don't need the citywide cleanup, and other folks saying, you didn't pick anything up, so there is no citywide cleanup. Privately funded community center was mentioned. I'm gonna leave that alone. Better dump hours. Paul and I have dealt with this for the 3 years that I've been on here. Right now, I'm the only one that goes out there. And if I'm not, prove it. I made a snowpath. So I'm not willing to pay a gentleman $5 an hour to say, Chris, dump your branches over there. So I personally want the rubble site, which is going to affect me tremendously. I want it closed from November to March because I'm the only one that uses it. Okay. I guess what I'm saying is it's hard to see someone sit there who, when I look at his sheet, it's branches, 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 logs, branches, branches. Okay, so we're literally paying someone to dump something that doesn't bring in any money. So we're losing money there. So if we're talking about ways that we're losing money, that's a way we're losing money. So rubble site hours, I completely agree with. We got to address what can we do to make that a more efficient place. Senior swim classes, that was mentioned at least a dozen times. I guess I thought we did something of that sort, but
So did I.
I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd bring it up. So that was the surveys. Now I want to talk about the police. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a business owner, so I'm a numbers guy. Let's compare Canton to our lovely rival Lennox. They beat us 50-0 in football, and they beat us in a police budget by $200,000. We have 1,000 more calls than they do. So it justifies having a larger police force than Lennox, because apparently we're being called all over. 1,000, like year-to-date numbers, just to throw these numbers in case anyone's not here that needs to hear this. Year-to-date numbers, Canton, 3,421 calls for 3,000 people. Lennox, 2,527 calls. What are they, 2,500 people?
Yeah.
2,600 people? So we have a substantially more, I mean, to me, that seems like a lot larger number of calls. Now, what are these calls? 1,300 of them are traffic enforcement. 1,300 calls are traffic enforcement. 117 are informational and 106 are public. 90 are animal. So there, I just listed the top 4. Traffic enforcement, informational, public service, and then animal calls. So, first of all, I'd like to know what informational is. I'd like to know what public service is. And 1,300 traffic enforcement. I sat down with Paul, Andrew, and Corbin, and if it wasn't for pulling people over, a lot of stuff would be coming through Canton. So 1,300 traffic citations or stops, I shouldn't call them citations, 1,300 traffic stops is a way that we're keeping this community safe. I completely see the exorbitant amount of calls being on Highway 18. Unfortunately, a lot of those folks, 60 arrests. So out of 1,300 traffic enforcements, I bet, I'm throwing this number, I bet 50 of those had warrants that we had to take up to Sioux Falls and spend 4 hours in line as we're hauling people to Sioux Falls. Okay, so I'm not disagreeing with you that things are coming through the city of Canton. Not disagreeing with you at all. I'm saying it's putting a pinch on the taxpayer of Canton. So we have got to clean our community up, which is what I've been trying to address since the moment I sat here, so we can make it seem like you don't bring things in through Canton. But when I do work in Sioux Falls, folks ask me, you still live in Canton? Yeah. Ooh. Really? Seriously? That's what they think of our community. So how do I get that fixed? Well, we're going to clean the town up. That's what we're going to do. So numbers, we're sitting at an $841,000 budget. Lennox, 602. They have an SRO coming in 2026. I sure hope they have a means of paying for it, so they're not sitting in the same position, wondering, how do we pay for it? How do we make this happen? My biggest thing is I want everybody that has a means of being in the school district to help pay for it. So when I was doing work on Spring Creek Golf Course and I looked over and seen a Canton Seahawks school bus, and I went, wait, how come they're not paying for it? All of a sudden, they're helping. Well, check that out. Had we not said anything 2 years ago, the city taxpayer would have still been paying for it, and we would have never got a dime from the school. Okay? So all I'm asking is that everybody has some skin in the game. Whether they have a kid they drop off from 3 blocks outside of city limits, or they have a child or 7 children within the city limits. I just want it to be fair across the board. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not in opposition to the school resource officer. Travis is a great young man, and the man before him was a great young man. This is not personal at all. I think we got the cart in front of the horse, and we hurried up and got one, and we didn't address the school prior. So it was like, hurry up and get one, and then we'll figure out how to pay for it. And now here we are. And by the way, I've needed to call 911 3 times. Do you know what I've done? I've taken my family member to Sioux Falls because I don't feel comfortable calling 911 in Canton because I sit on this board 3 times. You laugh. Put your name on the ballot and find out what happens. That's all I got.
Sarah?
I will say that I had a lot of questions at the last meeting of Corbin, and not a lot of them were fully answered, and which was part of the reason why I didn't second the vote or the motion. I have since talked with Corbin. We had a long meeting, and I'd say that most of my concerns that were brought to me were addressed. We've discussed them. We've gone over those things. We have made a plan. He's going to put plans in motion. So that is definitely something that I needed to have done before I could move forward. Not everybody knows, but I am a spouse of a law enforcement officer, 22 years. My husband was not present during our children's young growing up because that's what law enforcement's about. You don't expect them to be at funerals and weddings and take days off because they got calls, they got to work overtime. So I think it's great that you're able to take a couple of days off to be with your kids because I didn't get that as a law enforcement wife. But we move forward. I think it's great that everybody is so concerned about Officer Bates. My husband works for the county, and I can tell you that Officer Bates would not be allowed to take the position as a part-time officer because he is on probation. So we could have Griffin have this part-time job. He would not be able to accept it. So thank you everybody for your concern for Officer Bates, but when he's out of probation with the county, with his new job, we could certainly take a look at offering him the part-time job if he so wishes at that time. So that's where I'm at. So I also think the SRO is a great idea. My son, I think, is his biggest fan. So Max would be super sad if Travis wasn't there. So yeah, I don't have any other concerns because the concerns that were brought to me, I have since had the privilege to discuss with Chief, and I think we can move forward. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, do you have anything?
To keep it short, I just want to say thank you to everyone that came and spoke out for the police department. It is really appreciated.
Okay, Paul?
Still am, a business owner, so I've been told by many people, you can't run the town like you do a business. Sorry, it's hard for me. School resource officer. That's all right, I can get from underneath the bus, but I've been thrown under the bus the last 2 weeks. I'm not a big Facebook person. Not once did I say I wanted the school resource officer to quit or that to pull him. Again, I'm a number guy. I'm a very conservative person. All I said in the last meeting, if you were here or did you listen, all I said is if that school resource, if Travis is at the school 9 months out of the year, I want the school to pay 3/4 of his wages. Not just the hourly wage, his total package, which includes retirement. I asked what his total package was. Still don't know that number. I'm guessing $85,000 to $90,000. Let's just say it's $90,000. It don't matter to me what it is. I've heard nothing but good news about you, Travis, at school. And you should be proud of that. All I want is right around 75% of 90,000 returned to the school. Unless you guys, as the citizens, and I think there's plenty of people listening tonight, want to change that. I'm only sitting here, I only started sitting here because I didn't like what was going on in this town. I don't need the job. I don't need the stare downs. I don't need the people that turn their backs when they see me. You know what? I'm going to go to bed at night. I'm only here to cut the unnecessary fat that we need to do. So, I did not. I think the only one that said that he might have to pull his school resource officer was your boss. Now, if you take 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and divide it by 40, comes to 4.2 officers to handle the town of Canton, 24/7. We put Travis up at the school 9 months out of the year, and they have plenty of time that I seen you this weekend. I believe I talked to you when you had the water running down the street. So you're filling in. So let's just say Travis is for sure covering that 0.2. I think it's more than that. So we're using 4 to police this town 24/7. We have 1 up at the school, that's 5. And we still have 1 left. After we cut it down to 6 at a lot of people that are here was in an uproar about. I was in that meeting that Chris talked about with Corbin and Andrew, the 4 of us. And we can turn our heads and say we don't have a problem, but we do have a problem with patrolling on Highway 18. I have numerous, like over 100 people have told me they won't drive through this town. And Corbin, you can correct me anytime you want, but when we were having a meeting, every person that don't come through this town, that's your paycheck. It's everybody that works for this town is paycheck. When they don't stop to buy that bottle of pop because they're getting harassed. When we got a campground out here and people won't come through town because they'll go to Harrisburg to eat, or Sioux Falls to eat, or Worthing to eat, because they don't want to come here because they're afraid that the cop is sitting outside waiting to see, how do you prove that you didn't come to a complete stop? I think it was John that brought it up. I didn't come to a complete stop, but the vehicle stopped? How can that be? I got pulled over Sunday night at 10 o'clock. Got done baling hay, I was going home. Come up Cedar Street to Fifth Street. I can't prove I stopped. I got pulled over. You didn't come to a complete stop. One of the reasons I sat with Corbin and Andrew to discuss that incident. Now, I was told I was wrong. I don't believe it for 1 second. I was very close to being harassed, in my opinion. Simply because I couldn't come up with a current insurance card. I had one that expired in March. I told the officer it's the same company. He says, first he says, is there anybody you can call to verify that? People that know me, I was getting a little warm at that time. I said, at 10 o'clock at night? Who am I going to call at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night to verify my insurance? That officer said, you keep looking, I'll be right back. No, he said, I'm going to go back and get started. He came back 5 minutes later. I can't prove it either. I think he figured out who it was. He came back and he says, you know what? I think you've had a long day. Why don't you just go home? And if you could find it in you to maybe move your license plate so we could see it a little bit easier on your trailer, that would be great. I shouldn't get different. When he found out who I was, it should have been the same way to start. When anybody gets pulled over, they're scared. Just like especially the young kid that came up here tonight. They're scared. They're nervous.
Scared of who? But he also said he was thankful.
Yeah, he said he was treated very well. I get pulled over, I'm scared. What did I do?
Right. You don't need to be harassed by doing that.
Hey, we're not going there. We're not going to sit and argue with the audience. Audience, speak. So stop.
Where I'm going with this, people, if you want us to vote a certain way, number one, start in a little bit less than a year.
I'm pissed.
If you're upset with me, by God, get somebody out there to run. I'm sitting here because more people voted for me than the two people that were running against me. It hurts when I get people tell me they won't drive through this town. If we need more than one extra person to cover the shifts, then do what you need to do to tell us that you want another person. I'm not against cops. I have grandkids now in school. I'm not against the school resource officer. I'm a person that likes to make sure the money is spent wisely. That's what I did when I owned the store out there, and it's what I'm still doing when I own my other businesses. No, there's nothing personal about it. Another comment that people told me was out on Facebook that might be a wrong word, but minions, that Chris and Sarah and Jackie are my minions. No. If you want to dig up something, go to that guy right over there. He can find stuff that I didn't know was possible. If you want to know an ordinance or what it says, ask Sarah. If you want to know some research on something, ask Jackie. I don't like any one of those things that them three do. So do we communicate? Absolutely. Is it maybe easier for me to talk than Jackie? Probably is. But between that, we're a pretty good group. It's not that we're trying to get by with something, and it's not that they're gonna vote the way I did. As you can see tonight, we didn't vote the same way tonight. We talked about sitting up there, how many people actually talked about the cops or talked about this, and only 5 or 4% or 9% or 12%. Unfortunately, we're lucky to get 25% of people to vote for the people that are up here. Now, most people are here because I like this group. I wish there was this many people that interested in what actually goes on with the city twice a month. Unfortunately, we maybe have 4. So if you want to get involved, get here and listen to it. Stand up when it's your turn to stand up. Every one of these items that are around here, you have the right to stand up and give your opinion. Travis, continue doing what you're doing. If anything, there was one job that was liked by everybody is what you're doing. So, hats off, you're doing a great job, don't leave it. Do I think we can clean up this town in more than one way? Damn right we can.
Done?
When we had our 4-person meeting, and I was talking about Highway 18 again, I was told, what do you want my guys to do if we don't sit on Highway 18? Sit there and twiddle our thumbs? There was more than Highway 18 in this town.
Okay. I just want to mention that Friday night is the Christmas parade here in town, and the lighting of the Christmas trees on the courthouse lawn. I can't remember the times exactly, but I think the parade is at 7. The lighting of the tree is at 6, I believe. 6:30?
Yep.
Okay. So,
Saturdays.
huh?
Saturday's the Christmas tree.
Oh, yes, and there's a Christmas tree festival at PAC on Saturday, along with the fundraiser for, I believe the seniors are still doing that. Fundraiser, is there a craft show? Okay, that is on Saturday. There's a whole list of things going on in December. You can go to the Canton Chamber of Commerce page, and I'm sure it's on there for a full schedule. I don't want to expound on the worth of our Canton Police Department, but I just want to say I support them, I back them, and I want to keep them safe, because every time they put on that uniform and go out on patrol, they're putting their lives on the line for you. And you can't put a price tag on the lives of the citizens of this town. Thanks. So now we will vote to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second. You want to call roll?
Commissioners Garbers.
Aye.
Piggers.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Okay. Pardon?
No
No.
business plan.
No, just to dismiss.
Looking at.